Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all of you. Very excited to see all of you join. We'll just give it a minute and then we'll get started. Wish you all a very happy Shravana Masa. We're starting this unique thing about learning the Madhwa Shastra in English through the kathopanishad. And starting it on a very auspicious day of Shravana Shanivara. So, special welcome to all of you. Are you all able to hear me? Thank you so much. Okay, Namaskara. Let us start today. Again, welcoming all of you to this unique session. For the first time, we are learning the Madhva Shastra in English in a simple to consume format. Now, as you would have probably known, that there are many ways of learning the Shastras, and we have talked about it earlier as well, which is you can start by studying the traditional sequence of granthas that have been written, which is start with the tattva sankhya, tattva viveka. These are all sarvamula granthas. So that's one way to to actually go ahead and consume that content and learn it like that. The other way is really to be able to look at that content through the story. And the story of Nachiketa is one of the most intriguing format of the Shastra that we can think of. So there is a reason why there are so many Upanishads, and yet we find that the Nachiketa Upakhyana, which forms the basis of Kathopanishad, is probably one amongst the most important ones that and most remembered, most popular Upanishads. So let us, with that as a background, let us go ahead and start today's session, where we are looking at how do we, whenever we look at why are we discussing this, why take up this topic, what are we all looking for? I was just thinking, what is the best way to sort of paraphrase what we are looking for in our lives? We are always looking for directions, right? We are all seeking directions, we are all seeking answers. Will all of you agree that we are always looking for answers to some of our questions? Do you agree? So let's keep it interactive so that we all learn together. So we are always thinking about what is, why is this happening in a certain way? Why am I like this? Why do I experience joy? Sometimes I experience sorrow. Some people who are some other people experience sorrow, some other people experience joy, and so on and so forth. We're all thinking about where we are and why, what is happening into the world around us. So when we think about that, I was thinking what will be the best way to solve this problem. So one of the things that came to my mind was that I had been to a mall, and in a mall, suppose you want to find something, what will you do? You'll go to the map over there, right? And start searching for, let us say a shop that you're looking for, right? Let's say you're looking for some bookshop. So you go there and start looking for that bookshop. But what is very important is this, which is that the map has to show you where you are. Suppose it does not have this as to where you are, you're still lost. All that you know is the layout of the whole floor on which you are there. It still doesn't tell you where you have to go. So, therefore, where you are and where you want to get to is going to be very, very important in our lives. whether it is spiritual, professional, or personal, right? So what we are going to discuss today is, first of all, before we get into the Kathopanishad or Kathopanishad, and I will tell you why there are two names, is that there is a structure of our Shastras. What is the structure of our Shastras? In the whole scheme of things, why are the Upanishads so central to the whole set? Why do we look at it as a very important part of our spiritual journey? Similarly, introduction, then we come to within the Upanishads, there are something called the principal Upanishads. That means the main Upanishads. So, which are those 10 principal Upanishads? Then we'll get into the introduction to the Kathopanishad, which is the topic that we are all here to discuss today. And then we get into the story of Nachiketa. We'll have to look at his life and who he is, because all this has a bearing on what we learn. And finally, we look at the Kathopanishad itself. We will start looking at what are the main teachings. Now, when you look at our structure of our Shastras, how are our Shastras organized, right? So, the foundational element of this are the Vedas and the Upanishads. So, you must be thinking there is Brahma Sutras at the bottom. Why are you not talking about it? We will definitely talk about it. But right now, let us start. The foundational element of the Madhva Shastra, or the Sanatana Dharma as we call it, are the Vedas and the Upanishads. Now, the other forms of granthas or other forms of knowledge that we have are the Puranas, which are the Ashtadasha Purana, 18 Puranas and 18 Upapuranas. So, Bhagavata, Mahabharata, all of them form part of the Puranas. Then we have the commentaries, or the principal commentary written by Srimad Madhvacharya, and this is called Madhwa Bhashya. So Bhashya is very simple to understand. It will always have that as a suffix to the name of the Grantha. In some places, he has written clarificatory notes, like Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. That means he is trying to explain what is the net import of the different shlokas that appear as a part of the Mahabharata itself. So that is Bhashya. So everything written by Srimad Madhvacharya forms as a category called Bhashyas. They will help us interpret the Puranas and the Vedas. Right? Then we have the Tika Grantha. So Tika, again, there are two types of Tika writers. That means they're critiques, not critics. Critiques, that means people who understand and unravel and analyze the Bhashyas, Bhashya Grantha, and then explain it to the people. Now, whenever you think about Tika, there is one person whose name comes very automatically to us, which is Srimad Jaitirtharu. He has written the fantastic Tika Granthas. That means they are commentaries on Srimad Madhvacharya. So it's very hard for us to imagine that we could have understood what Srimad Madhvacharya really wanted to say without the aid of the Tika Granthas. So that is the Tika Granthas. And after that came the Tippanis. That means commentaries on Srimad Jaitirtha's work. Some of them are directly on Srimad Madhvacharya's work. Now, this is the structure of our Shastras. But at the bottom, we have the super critical Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutras are nothing but laws, the divine laws with which you can interpret the Vedas. So that is the structure of our Shastra. So therefore, if somebody asks us what is the most important Grantha, it is the Brahma Sutras, because the Vedas are abstract and they can be interpreted in many ways. If you interpret it correctly, there is only one way. But if it is interpreted in different ways, then we have a challenge in terms of which is the right way to do that. So therefore, the Brahma Sutras form the base, and then with which we are able to understand and build on the other aspects as well. Now, the Vedas and the Upanishads are called Apaurusheya. Apaurusheya. That means they exist as eternal laws. Nobody wrote them. Nobody composed it. They exist from time immemorial. Now there might be a question as to how that can be. If there is a body of knowledge, somebody must have created it. Otherwise, how can it exist? Well, there are lots of things that we accept which are not Paurushaya, which have not been created by anybody. Look at our laws and our science, right? We call them Newton's laws. Newton's law of gravity works not because Newton created gravity, he stated gravity. So it is a discovery by Newton. Sir Isaac Newton discovered that aspect and gave that as a form of a law. But it existed. Whether he had said it or not, it always existed. He brought it out and helped us all understand. So we acknowledge that Newton has discovered it. We don't say he invented gravity. That before Newton there was no gravity. Apple used to go up when somebody threw it on the ground is not the truth, right? So this is how the Tika Granthas are formed. The Brahma Sutras are there and the Vedas are there for Apaurishayatva. Now, all the Vedanta schools accept that Vedas and Upanishads are Apaurishaya. That means nobody created them. This is an accepted fact amongst all the Vedanta schools. There is no difference of opinion in those aspects. Now, moving on to the next topic. Now, what is an Upanishad? So Upa, it's got two parts, which is Upa and Nishat. That means something which takes you closer to God. Upa means closer, and Upanishad means something that brings you closer to God. Upa in any form, whenever you use the word Upa, it is Upavasa. That means you get closer to stay. Vasa means staying. So Upanishad means something that brings you closer to God, or you are seated closer to God. That's the meaning of Upanishad. So therefore, the study of Upanishad, what does it bring you? What does it bring you? It brings you closer to the truth, closer to the God. So that's why we call it Upanishad. And there are many Upanishads because they are all Upanishads are parts of Vedas. So since Vedas themselves are infinite, Anantavai Vedaha. That means the Vedas are infinite. Upanishads also, because they are an integral part of the Vedas, they are also infinite in number. But from the Vedas that are available today, we recognize 10 Upanishad, Dashopanishad, as the principal Upanishads. So they are all listed there. You can see it for yourself. Isha, Kena, Katha. So there is a reason it has been listed like this. They have to be studied in this order for a particular reason. They are all incremental. That means you start with the basic and then go on to the other forms of the of the Upanishad itself. Now, the question you all might have in your mind is that why didn't we start with the Isha Upanishad? We should have started from Ishavasya Upanishad. Now, the thing is, since we wanted to get into that part of the Upanishad, which has got a storyline, which makes it easy for us to understand the Madhva Shastras dictums. Now, at Ataha, we are absolutely committed to keeping the Shastras accessible, simple, and direct, and of course, in English. So we decided, and we also put a poll. I think many of you participated, and many of you were interested in the story of Nachiketa. It's a very, very intriguing, very, very deep story. Unlike many of the other stories that we might have heard, which may be a little frivolous. Now, Kathopanishad. Where is this Kathopanishad? How does it come? So, Yajurveda is one of the Vedas of the Vedas. So, it is part of the Krishna Yajurveda. So that means that every Veda has two parts, Shukla and Krishna. So this is a part of the Krishna Yajurveda, and it is part of what is called Katha Shakha. So within Yajurveda there are different parts, and one of that parts or one of the branches of that Shakha, literally meaning branches, is called Katha. So that is why it is called Kathopanishad. Now, there is another reason this is called Kathopanishad or Kathakopanishad. So, this is attributed to a rishi who studied this very, very deeply. His name was Katha. Katha. Now, why was he called Katha? Katha is a usage in Sanskrit which says with difficulty. So, his name itself was that he had studied the Upanishads in great detail. That is why he was called Katha. So in Hindi also we have this word called Kathin, right? So this is also like that. This is Kathin because Upanishads give us lessons which are very, very profound. They are very, very pithy, very short, very smart, and full of meaning. Every letter, every word has got a different meaning. So it has to be studied with a lot of focus, and that is why we are all absolutely indebted to Sriman Madhvacharya to have provided such a beautiful explanation of Kathopanishad in his Kathopanishad Bhashya. So you can see many people have written commentaries. In this session, we will be using the Madhva Bhashya and the Khandartha of written by Sri Raghavendra Swamiji. Why do we have to have so many commentaries? Why don't we just accept what is there? So all of these authors are in perfect unison. There is no difference or there is no shift between them, but they were all of a different era, right? They are all of a different era, and the scholastic levels of people was very different. So therefore they wanted to adapt to this particular to the current times or the times that they belong to, so that they are able to look at it and then be able to present it and understand it to suit the scholastic levels. Sriman Madhvacharya's bhashya, very typical of his style, is full of quotations. More than 85% of what he writes is a quotation from somewhere. He used quotations from the Puranas and the Vedas, or rather, I should say, Vedas and Upanishads and Puranas in that order as proof for whatever he is saying. Otherwise, it can be anybody's interpretation. So he proves everything to the last detail. And Sri Raghavendra Swamiji has made it very simple for us to just, it is bullet sized. You can just swallow it very easily. The Sanskrit that he has used also is very simple. So if we have some basic understanding of the language, I think all of us can make an attempt to understand this. In this session, what we are doing, therefore, is that we are looking at Upanishads from three perspectives. What is the Vedantic meaning of Upanishad? That means, what is the spiritual meaning? How does it elevate us spiritually? That's one aspect. The other one is, are there takeaways for us which will help us be better professionals? Yes, Upanishad is a multifaceted aspect. And somebody said it so beautifully to me once, that every time you read a new book, it gives you a new perspective. So if you look at the whole Sanskrit, I would say the world and all the texts in it, Upanishads stand out very unique because of the way they present something. So it has got a professional content, provided we decided to look at it that way. And the other one is, how do you use it for your personal development? How do you elevate yourself? How do you think differently? All this is covered as a part of the Upanishads. So you can see how profound this is, right? Now, what it helps us essentially, any Upanishad or any Tattva text will help you understand what is God, including, let us say, it may be your hypothesis that God does not exist. Even for that, you have to think about God, even when you want to say He doesn't exist. And there is a world which is called Jagat. What is the world? What's happening around me? That's the world. And there is me. That's my soul. I am an individual soul. To understand the relationship between these three things is the main purpose of any Shastra Grantha. Any Shastra Grantha across the world has to address these three issues or these three topics. Maybe in different ways, they may not be fully aligned, but they are all presenting it. So therefore, we have a beautiful opportunity here when we are studying the Kathopanishad, because now we will take the same mantras which have been told to us and analyze it from various perspectives, right? So this is the background to our starting of the Kathopanishad itself. Now let us go first with the story of Nachiketa before we dive into the Upanishad, because it's important. So there was a rishi, I will make it short. The story of Nachiketa appears in at three different places. One is, of course, the Kathopanishad or Kathopanishad. The other one, his father and his elder brother, appear in another Upanishad called Taittiriya Upanishad. That is also one of the principal Upanishads. And the story of Nachiketa appears in Mahabharata. So all these are quite coherent, and we can make a sense of who Nachiketa was, etc., by looking at these three main sources of the story. So the story goes like this. There is this sage called Uddalaka who had two sons. The elder son is Shvetaketu, and the younger son is called Nachiketa. Now, Shvetaketu, as his name indicates, was somebody who was a very smart person. He was very intelligent. Right from the beginning, he was very outspoken. He would always try to prove his intellectual prowess and dazzle people. So everybody was very happy, and they appreciated his intellect. The younger son, Nachiketa, was somebody who would never speak much. He would keep things to himself, like an introverted person. And he would always be thinking about something. So, because he was thinking about something for so long, people thought that he is a little bit of a dullard. He is not intelligent. Must be something wrong with him. So, what they did was they said, look, Shvetaketu can go to the Gurukula and learn the Shastras, whereas Nachiketa, since he's no good, can stay at home and do all the household work. Now, Nachiketa, being a very introverted person, never resisted it. But at a very young age, he had a lot of profound questions, and we will see soon how profound his questions were. The Shvetaketu and and the story and his interaction with Uddalaka forms the part of the Taittiriya Upanishad, as I said. He goes to the Gurukula, studies there for a long time, comes back only to have turned into an extremely arrogant person. So all this thing about Aham Brahmasmi, etc., all of that forms the part of that, of the Chandogya. Sorry, I'm saying Taittiriya all along. It's Chandogya Upanishad. The Aham Brahmasmi topic is discussed in the in Taittiriya Upanishad as well. But the crux of the story is in Chandogya Upanishad. So this is how it is as a family. Now, Nachiketa is a very introverted person. He stays at home all the time. So once, what happens is Uddalaka decides that it's time for him to give away all his belongings. Right. So this is the first lesson for us. If you want to elevate yourself spiritually, one of the ways, and it is said in the Gita, is to give dana. That means to give things in charity. Because when you give something in charity, the mindset should be that I didn't give it. It doesn't belong to me anyways. Everything here belongs to God. So my request to all of you is to make a calendar. We make a calendar for everything. We make a calendar to go on vacations. We make a calendar to read something. We make a calendar to clean our house. We make a calendar for our work, everything. But we never make a spiritual and a calendar for charity. Our shastras say that we have to do dana or charity every time. So Uddalaka decides to donate all that he has, everything that he has, and say, okay, let me do this to attain the heavens. So if I give away, I will get a lot of my good deeds will give me punya, and I will go to the swarga. And what then happens is a very popular anecdote. This story appears in many places, but many people have not read it fully. So that's why I'm telling the story. Uddalaka is giving away everything that he has, including the cows that he has kept. And when he's giving away the cows, what the Nachiketa is about 8 to 10 years old at that time. He looks at Uddalaka giving away everything, including the cows, and he says, look, seems to be something wrong in the way you are giving away these cows, because these cows appear to be very weak. They don't have any strength to do anything. They will not yield any milk. They can't even eat. Their teeth are so weak. So if you give away these cows, it will have a lot of unintended consequences. You are doing it to get punya, but you will get papa, you will get sins, because you're just transferring your problem onto somebody else. Because you're not able to take care of these cows which are not yielding anything to you, you seem to be passing on to somebody else. So give, let us not do this. He's resisting it. Now, what happens in his mind, the mind of such a young child, is that what is called astikya bhava. That means that what is meaning of astika? Meaning that means asti. Astika means something who says asti. That means there is a world, there is a force, there is an energy which is beyond us. Asti means it is there. There is a force beyond us. That is called astika. What is nastika? That means the person who says, no, everything I see only exists. Nothing exists beyond us. If I can't see it, I won't believe it. So, na asti. That means beyond us, nothing exists. That's why such people are called nastika. But our Nachiketa is a person who is a profound person. He may be young, but he has got an extremely high sense of spirituality in him. So he says that, look, I'm going to, please don't give these cows. Then he goes and asks that instead of giving these cows, why don't you give me away? Give me away. Give me away. I will go instead of giving these cows, because if you give me away to somebody, I can go and work in their house. So the father ignores the child because he thinks he says something that is not right. Now, the story goes that Uddalaka is very hungry at that time because he spent the entire day donating things to people. And he is agitated because of hunger, because of strain. When again Nachiketa goes and asks him this question, saying, I had suggested that you should give me to someone. Whom are you going to give it to me to? Whom are you giving me to? So he asks again, second time. Now this is not enough. After some time, again he goes and asks. That is for the third time. He asks his father, why don't you give me away to someone? And who is that person whom you are going to give me to? So literally, Uddalaka gets very angry. He says, go to hell. Mrityum me vad tva tadati. That means I'm going to give it to you, death, to the god of death. So go to Yama, go to Yamaloka and go to hell. We use the word go to hell, he literally uses it as to go to hell. When we are angry, we may say this. Now, there are a lot of lessons for us from this. Look at, of course, the obvious lesson is that one should not lose one's cool, because the consequences of many things that we believe are small or trivial can be sometimes very profound. So he says, when he said go to hell, Nachiketa just leaves and goes to hell. But the other big takeaway is, look at Nachiketa's persistence. He is not satisfied with his father not responding to him. So he gets angry and he keeps on going towards prodding his father to tell him that what he is doing is wrong. Right? So this is the route that all the people have to take. Sometimes we may have to advise our elders when they're making a mistake, but that should be done in a courteous manner. Nachiketa never loses his sense of courtesy. He never loses the respect for his father, but he is giving that message that whatever you're doing is wrong. It's a brilliant and very diplomatic way of communicating something to us. It's a big lesson for us. Sometimes we have to give the bad news. We can't help it. But there is the manner in which something is said can make all the difference. And we hear this often. Saying, look, if he did not want this, he could have told me. But the manner in which he said something, I don't think he should have spoken to me like that. Don't we hear that? We hear that, right? So Nachiketa doesn't lose his cool. He's steadfast. And because his father says, go to hell, he actually goes to hell. So here is a lesson for us. What do leaders do? Nachiketa may be young, but he's a leader. What is the lesson that we can learn from him? Is that leaders always do things which are right. They don't do things which are necessarily nice. Sometimes we want to do all the nice things, right? But Let us say somebody is making a mistake. You say, why should I get into it? Yeah, if I keep quiet, I think that I can get away with this. So we hold back ourselves from doing the right things, even when we know it's whatever we are doing, is wrong and we should be doing something else. But Nachiketa is not like that, and the fruits of that we will see very very soon. So this is a big lesson for us. But even at that time, when his father asked him to go to hell, he says, you know what, if you give me away to yama, what use of there is no use, because yama is a big man. He's the adhipati, he's a person who owns the entire yamaloka. He's got thousands of people who are there already working for him. Why should I be going there? I will not be of any use to him. So therefore, he tells his father that you may have given me to him, but unfortunately, I will be of no use to him. So he then says, I am going to come out of this, and there's no point in sending me. But if you send me, I am not afraid of death, but I will be of no use to Yama. And I don't think I'll be able to come out of this cycle of life and death. Because why am I not afraid of death? Because death is going to happen to all of us someday or the other. So I'm not afraid of this. I will face it. And saying this, he just leaves his body and his soul travels to the Yamaloka or Naraka. What a story, right? So he goes to that place, and then the story unfolds there in the Narakaloka or Yamaloka. So he goes to Yamaloka, and what does he find? That Yama is not in town. He is not in that loka. He has gone to some other loka. And I will come to why he went to some other loka very soon. And he goes there, and Yama's wife, Shamala Devi, is there to welcome him. He sees Nachiketa coming. He's a resplendent person. She immediately recognizes that he is a person of very high spiritual quality. Look at the fun. Yama and his wife, the god of death and his wife, a person who is one of the Dikpalakas. Yama is one of the Dikpalakas, and somebody whom everybody is scared to even look at. What did they do? They find Nachiketa to be a brilliant man, brilliant boy, whereas his own parents did not recognize who he was. Today, we might forget Uddalaka, at least as far as Kathopanishad is concerned. He's a great sage. He appears in a very different way in the Chandogya and the Taittiriya Upanishad. But right now, he has failed to recognize Nachiketa's greatness. So again, a lesson for us: just because somebody is not speaking, we should not underestimate that person's capabilities. And this is what Gita warns us. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that our true swarup of anybody will never be known. So before we come to conclusions, before we are judgmental about others, we have to hold back. So he goes to the Yamaloka. Now his arrival there is unexpected, because he has appeared there out of turn. So when he goes inside, he is received by Shamala Devi. Now, again, very important. There are two words which are used when we refer to people as guests. One is the famous word Atithi. The other one is Abhyagata. So, as a part of this sessions that we will do, we will be introducing some technical words to you, because you will find its application in many other things that we will talk later. And you read any Shastra Grantha, all this gets used there. So Atithi, what is the meaning of Atithi? We say Atithi Devo Bhava. Atithi, that means someone who's coming without schedule or without a plan. Unscheduled guest is called Atithi. Abhyagata is someone whose arrival there is known. It's a planned activity. So for example, an event. There's an event, you have invited some people for weddings. They are technically not Atithis. They are all people who come and attend that wedding are called Abhyagata. So all these people who come there, we call them Atithi and Abhyagata interchangeably in today's language, colloquially. But technically, Nachiketa is an Atithi. So the moment he goes there, Shamala Devi welcomes him and says, okay, you have come, now let me offer food to you. Nachiketa, being what who he is, refuses to eat that food. He says, no, I will wait for Yama to come. I have come here for a purpose. So till my purpose is solved or achieved, I will not eat anything. Now, does this thing remind you of another story like this, where somebody refused to eat, saying that he has come for a different purpose? Anybody in the chat? Which is that story where somebody refused to be a guest and eat and said, no, till my objectives are achieved, I will not eat. Yes. Let us see who gives the first answer and the correct answer. Lord Hanuman, yes, one of them, yes. But there's one more very glaring story. It is very glaring, it is very explicitly said, and that forms the whole basis of what happens in that great story. If I tell the name, then I will be giving away the answer. So, Rakshita, correct? Lord Hanuman is one of them. Who is the other one? Anyone? Dhruva. No, so Dhruva went on a fast. That was slightly different. He doesn't refuse food. People who do this tapasya, they will be on fast anyway. Bhrigu in Srinivasa's story is one of them. But there is one story which coincides very closely with somebody refusing to have food because he wants an outcome. And he says, I will not eat till that outcome is reached. Who is that? It's a very famous story. All of you would definitely know it. 10 seconds and I will give the answer. Okay, let me give the answer. It is Lord Krishna in Mahabharata, right? He goes to Duryodhana for the Sandhi, right? And he then says, no, Arjun, Shabari is not the right answer. What, so Shabari says, I will not eat anything from that forest till Rama comes. That's also one of the answers in that sense. But a glaring example, of course, is Krishna. So all of you are right, but this is a very direct thing about I will not eat till my goal is achieved. So he says, I'm not going to eat. But the thing is, he again, a lesson for us. As I said, what is the meaning of upavasa? Upavasa is not just going on a fast. Upavasa is a way to spiritually train yourself. When you have a big activity coming up, you have to spiritually train yourself. You get into the right frame to absorb everything. At that time, you should be empty stomach. That's why when people say, get up in the morning, recite the shlokas, do meditation, go to temple. They say the best time to go to a temple is when you're on a fast. You should not eat anything, right? The more you eat, the more fatigued you will feel, and you will feel lazy. Your mind will go on to other things. So fasting is a preparation for a spiritual activity. So silently he was achieving one. He was spiritually getting ready because he's meeting Yamadharmaraya, the god of death is going to come to him soon, and he has got a big agenda in front of him. So he wants to ensure that he's ready for it. And one sure short way of getting ready for anything is actually to be on a fast, so that all your focus is on that spiritual activity. So one of the things that we all hear all the time is that, let's say there's an examination in the morning, right? We all have this problem, right? We don't feel hungry when we got something. We're thinking very intensely about something, we don't feel hungry. So that is the state on which Nachiketa is, and he's also doing something very smart, and we'll come to it in a minute. So he's waiting, whereas in the olden days it was everybody would feel very very uncomfortable if there was somebody sitting hungry at their home. So our shastras very clearly say that whenever somebody comes from anywhere, it is our duty to feed the person. Whether he's needy or not, we have to feed the people who come to visit us, right? So yes, Ambarisha, great example. So we have to feed that person. We have to feed that person because annadana is considered one of the most sacred and the most precious dana, because it is about that person's existence. There's no point in giving him anything other than food, because if, let us say, he's not having food, no amount of getting anything will help him. So annadana is considered very precious. So when he refuses to have that food, Shyamala Devi is very, very upset. She does not know what to do. And the Shastra says, and the Upanishad itself says, that look, if there is a person who has come to your home and he's not fed well, then it can be a disaster. That agni, that means everybody who comes from outside, everybody, each one of us has a small agni in us, a small amount of fire, jataragni. That is enough to burn the whole house, because we have not fed it. So, therefore, Shyamala Devi is very, very keen. Soon, Lord Yama comes back. Now, I told you, all of us would have got this question: where did he go in the first place? It is his loka. He had not gone anywhere. It was nothing but a test for Nachiketa. He was testing his persistence, because what is going to happen later is something that Yama, the god of Dharma, definitely knows it. He's a Ashtadikpalaka. He's a great god, and he has this duty to establish dharma. That is why he has established this. He has the Narakaloka to punish people, to get them back on track. The idea is not to punish them and torture them without any reason. Anybody who goes away from dharma is like the police and the army. Anybody who goes against dharma, they will jump into it and bring it back to dharma. So therefore, Yama, then appears over there, and immediately he says, Nachiketa, you have come here and you've stayed here for 3 days without eating food. Please come and eat food. Otherwise, I am going to be cursed by God. Imagine Yamadharmaraya is pleading with this boy. Look at the amount of dharma prajna Yama has. That is why he is Dharmaraja. What we think is that anybody who has got law in his hand, they can use it the way they want. No. Even Yama is bound by certain laws. The Prime Minister, the President, they're absolutely the highest constitutional authority in any country, but they are also bound by laws. So nobody, as we keep saying, nobody is above laws. Nobody is above the law. Therefore, nobody is above the divine law, which is nothing but our dharmas. So even he is pleading with Nachiketa that please eat some food. And he says, look, in lieu of the 3 days that you fasted, you will get 3 boons. Now, this is something that Nachiketa knew, that if he remains hungry, in some sense, Yama may offer him something. So he asks for 3 boons. He doesn't ask. Yama himself says, you can ask me any 3 boons that you want. Now, because Yama is not there, this person has stayed hungry, Yama is indebted, he is obligated in some sense to give him whatever he wants. So he asks the first boon. Okay, so many people get confused between Nachiketa's questions and Nachiketa's boons. We are only talking about the boons. We have not yet come to the questions. Those questions are different. They will follow now. But the first boon that he asks is that, look, after all this is over, I want to go back to the Bhuloka. I want to go back to the earth. Very rare case of somebody going to the Naraka and coming back, unscathed. So when I go back, I want my father to accept me wholeheartedly. He got angry, he threw me out and all of this, but I want him to accept me. So Yama immediately says, look, your father is a very righteous man. After all, he wanted to give away everything in Dana. He's on the right track. But something happened, and in a fit of anger, he has cursed you. But after your soul has left your body, he has been with the body and he's crying. So he's got very deep repentance that he scolded you. So don't worry. When you go back, he will be very close to you. The second one, he says, look, I want you to tell me. That means Nachiketa wants Yama to tell him what is that form of Sri Vishnu which is in Agni? So God is present everywhere. He is also there in Agni. Right? Another lesson in Madhwa Shastra, that God is there, is omnipresent. And every word, Sakala Shabda Vachya, Bhagavanta is Sakala Shabda Vachya. That means take any word, in fact, any sound, it connotes God only. But you may say, like, Agni is God of fire. He's not. Where is this thing about interpretation coming? Because this is a part of the Vedas, and all words and every Veda is connoting only Vishnu. And why did he say why do we call the god of fire as Agni? Because all the gods, they love Lord Vishnu, and they have all named themselves after one of the names of Lord Vishnu. Right? So you can see Vishnu Sahasranama has got several names. Sarva, Sharva, Shiva, Sthanuhu, Bhutadihi, Nidiravyaya. All these are names of who? Sarva, Sharvaha, Shivaha. Lord Shiva's names. All the names are here. Nandir, Jyotir, Ganeshwaraha. Right? Varuno Vrikshaha. So every name, Lakshmi, Goddess Lakshmi also has named herself after Lord Vishnu. So therefore, Agni is also is the name, and within that Agni there is a form of Lord Vishnu, and that form of God Vishnu's name is also Agni. So it is Lord Vishnu's name which Lord Agni has kept onto himself. So when you go to Prana, for example, Prana the goddess of life, the god of life, Prana Devar, Mukhya Prana. Who is the Prana for him? Pranasya Prana is again Prana, which is Lord Hari, Shri Hari himself. So this is what he says. So therefore, what Nachiketa is asking now is that how do I identify, how do I get to know, and how do I get the grace of Lord Vishnu, who is there as a part of, who is within Agni. Now, why Agni? So, what is the meaning of the word Agni? Agni means some agre. That means someone who is first, pradhana, who is number one. They say, right? He is always number one. In the company we say somebody is number one. In world of tennis, somebody is number one. So number one means pradhana. So agre, the person who is first, is Agni. So, and we perform everything through this Agni. So therefore, there is that form of God called Agni who is right there. So his second boon is, I want to know about that form of Shri Vishnu who is part of this Agni. So Yama says, great, I will grant you that boon. And he proceeds to tell us that. We'll see that right now. After this, he asks for the third boon, which we will come to at that point. So if you thought that this is, Nachiketa is done, he is just getting started, because he is not asked the most critical boon that he wanted. Okay, so now he says, now we know, like, he wants to know God, Shri Vishnu as Agni, that's what he wants to know. And then Yama goes on to give him the procedure to understand understand Agni. What is Agni? And he gives a detailed procedure. The procedure is not enumerated in this Upanishad, but it is said in other places. So he says the way to do the Homa or the Agni is that is a yagna. How do you do that? He puts a frame which has got bricks, and each brick has got a form of God in it. So now, why did I tell you this? Is because it is, by the way, the technical name for a brick in Sanskrit is called ishtika. Ishtika means that brick. So he sits in that brick. So if there is a form of God in the brick, and how many bricks have to be used? 360 bricks have to be used for every yagna. Today we may not be doing it in that format, but symbolically it's important for us to know that it should be done with 360 bricks. And there is a reason why our body and the brick is of the same number. So the number of bones plus number of parrows plus number of joints adds up to 360. So it is nothing but our own body. It is symbolic of our own body that we are offering to the God. So our shastras, big takeaway for all of us. Everything that we do today is a yagna. We have an opportunity to do yagna every second. We are breathing, that is yagna. Why? Because our nose is the yagna kunda, and through that we are offering. When we say swaha, when we offer anything, we say swaha. We are even our breath is a yagna. We are seeing something, right? That is also yagna. That is a yagna that we are doing in our eyes. All this is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita Tatparya. And then we are hearing something. It's not hearing. It is doing the homa in your ears. That is called homa. You're eating something. Your stomach becomes the yagna kunda. And inside that is there is a fire. So you are feeding that fire. So our eating is nothing but yagna. Our walking is a yagna. Whatever we do is a yagna. So therefore, when you are doing a yagna, can you do it carelessly? Can you throw anything that you want inside the yagna? Can you offer anything you want to the god? No. It is something that we want to choose, because God is our best friend. We can't do like that. We will want to offer the best things that we want, the best thing that we have, to somebody whom we really love. And God is God, right? So therefore, when we want to offer something that is there, it also becomes an offering, it also becomes a yagna. So therefore, whatever we hear, whatever we breathe, whatever we eat, wherever we go, all this has to be of the right nature. So you can't eat anything and just say it is yagna. You have to eat the right food. So what is the right food? The sattvic food which is offered to God becomes pure, right? So that is what you have to eat. Hearing, we may say, come on, it's after all hearing. No, whatever you hear soon digests into your mouth as a mind. So when you look at something like this, the ishtika therefore forms the crux of that place, that fireplace where this agni is done. Now, there is something called Nachik. So, therefore, Yama is very pleased. He says, now I'm going to tell you the procedure. And he goes on to tell the procedure. But he gives him another boon. He asked for 3 boons. This Yama gives him 2 extra boons. So, one, he's got a great gold ornament, a garland, or a sara as we call it in Kannada. He takes that and gives it to Nachiketa as his blessing. Imagine the god of death, he is giving you a present. How great Nachiketa must be. Then he gives him another extra boon, which is, he says, anybody who sort of practices this form of yagna, that Agni Karya, will be named after you. So from now on, it will be called Nachiketaagni. Nachiketaagni. So anything to do with Nachiketa is Nachiketa. That is, the Sanskrit language is beauty. So we say one of the reasons why Lord Krishna's name is Vasudeva is because he is Vasudeva's son. There are many other more important reasons, but one of the reasons is his father's name was Vasudeva. So he's called Vasudeva. Similarly, Rama is called Dasharathi because he is the son of Dasharatha. Right? Rukmini is called Bhaishmi because her father's name is Bhishmaka Raja. So therefore, this Nachiketaagni is now called Nachiketaagni after him, because it is because of him that this whole body of knowledge reached us. Right? So this is what is the. So there are 3 yagnas that we have to look at. And why do we say 3 yagnas? Because it is mentioned in the Gita, there are 3 yagnas we do. One is yagna, dana, tapaschaiva. So whatever we do as a homa, that is one. Whatever we give as charity, dana, and tapas. So all forms of this are called yagnas. Second one, Trinachiketani. So that means it has got 3 times you have to do. And why? What is the significance of the number 3? Is Vedas are also called Trayartha. That means there are 3 meanings for every Veda Sukta, a minimum of 3 meanings. So it has got 3 yagnas. It is called Trayartha. And you can do this yagna in three forms, which is yagna, dana, and tapas. And anybody who does this, Yama says, he will cross the cycle of birth and death. He's free of this. So one way to do this, one way to achieve that salvation is nothing but performing the Agni Karya all the time. He will get what is called salvation or moksha. Now, this is not the end. Now we are getting started. That is why we had originally thought we will do this in one session. Soon we have realized doing it in one session is difficult. We will need at least two sessions. So, are you all prepared for another session on this? After this, we'll do it next week. We typically do this every fortnight, but to keep this continuity of this topic, we want to do it every week. So we may need one more session after this, or two more sessions. How many sessions should we do? One more after this or two more? Just type the number. Yes, yes, yes means what? Three or two? Two more we should do. Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody who thinks we should do it in just one session is getting too much. Anyone? No. Two more after this. Okay. Done. I'm taking it that everybody wants to, which is very thankful to all of you for your focused attention. It makes sense because we are learning one of the most important parts of the Shastras. And I don't want to hurry up. Sometimes, I keep looking at the Shastras and say, it's like wonderful food being served. So after being served this kind of food, we don't want it to be over so fast, isn't it? When somebody is having food, we have the thing about going and telling them that please have it at leisure. Nidana kutamadi, we say, right? So we don't want that to be, and all of this. So it becomes very difficult to eat very fast when the food is good. If the food is not good, people say, okay, let me eat it fast. So Nachiketa's third big question is coming now, which is, does God control us after we attain salvation? Right? This is the big question. Now I'll tell you the complexity in this question. The complexity in this question is arising because Nachiketa himself explains that some people say, that there is no, God does not control us after our death. Right? Some people say God controls us after death, which is true. I'm confused because I've heard both versions. But I would like you to clarify. Now, why this is such a profound question is, by asking this question, he has asked lot of sub questions that Yama has to answer before he comes to this question. This question, by the way, is going to be answered after a long time. In categorically, once of course he's going to answer in our timeline in the next 5-10 minutes, the answer he will give. But to explain that and make people understand what he's saying, he has to give a lot of other information. So Nachiketa is an extremely, extremely smart and determined person. Right? And we'll see his determination. And so his question is, does God control us after we attain salvation? Because there is a school of thought that after you attain salvation, because you have become free, and as per some people, you become the Brahman himself. So where is the question of any control? Now we have become Brahma. So we have attained that Brahmatva. So we don't have to be worried about this. But some people say, no, God is controlling us at all stages. Even then you are under the control of God. Some people say we are under the control of God in this world, but after death we are not under his control. So there are many schools of thought. So Nachiketa is asking this question very categorically. But Yama says, look, sorry, you should not be asking this question. Do not ask these questions. Even the Devatas are, are not people who know this answer. Even they don't know. When they don't know, how can I tell you? Right? It's a tough question. It's a very difficult abstract question. So we should not do this. Now, I have made a list of all the other people who also had tough questions, but took the easy way out. Some people took the tough path. Nachiketa is in the second category, who says, yes, no. It may be difficult. He immediately says, yes, Lord Yama, you are absolutely right. This is a very tough question. But that is why I'm asking you. Right? This is a tough question. That is why I'm asking you. Otherwise, why will I waste the opportunity of having come all the way, having you in front of me, right? And asking you something which I could have found out maybe in other ways. So it is a tough question, but whom do I have in front of me? I have Yama, and you know the answer. So I am sure you will give me the answer. I know you know the answer. Now, what is the list? What did Yudhishthira do? You know what Yudhishthira did? At the end of the war, he also did the same thing. The war is over. Duryodhana is in that lake. I will not get into the details of the story, but he's in that lake hiding there. So he comes out, and Yudhishthira says, look, we are 5 brothers. You can fight a war with everybody, anyone you choose. If you defeat us, then we'll give back your kingdom. Yudhishthira says this to Duryodhana. Everybody is shocked. They think, what is this person saying? But Duryodhana, being such an egoistic person, what he does, he says, look, all of you, none of you are capable of fighting me. All of you are weaklings. I will fight with Bhima. And then he fights with Bhima, and then we all know what happens. After this is done, Bhima, of course, as we know, kills Duryodhana and so on. Then Krishna asks Yudhishthira that, look, you said that you can pick up anybody. What would have happened if he had chosen you? Will you have been able to fight him? What a blunder you made. It would have cost us the whole war. So Yudhishthira says to Krishna, I know I made a mistake, but I was very sure you will back me up on this. Right? So while he might have made a mistake, he did make a mistake. He has that complete confidence that Krishna will not let him down. That is the difference between Pandavas and the others. Nachiketa is in similar lines. He says, I'm in a difficult situation. I know it. But you are there in front of me. It is a beautiful lesson for all of us. If we want to study the Shastras, if we want to attain God, we are asking for the highest result. Why should we be, we can't take an easy way out. It may be tough, but we have to have faith in God. We have to have faith in our gurus that irrespective of where we are, if we try with a true heart, they will always bless us. And we will get that gnana. The problem with us is that we are not going to the gurus and praying to them, why don't you give me gnana? All of us go to temples. All of us go to mathas. Lakhs of people go to Mantralaya. Lakhs of people go to different guru sthanas. How many of us go? We go to Tirupati, Jagadguru, Krishna Mande Jagadguru. He's there. How many of us have prayed to God that Lord Srinivasa, give me Divya Gnana, give me the knowledge of our scriptures? We have not done that. Whatever, because they have said, whatever you want, we will give you. And there's a beautiful story, in fact. Once, there was a person who had come and he was doing seva to Sri Raghavendra Swamiji. And he had something in his mind. And he was doing the seva. So after some time, Sri Raghavendra Swamiji came and he gave him his whatever he wanted. And within 1 or 2 days, that person left. There is another person who was studying very hard. He also had something in his mind, but he doesn't, he doesn't tell that to Sri Raghavendra ji. And after performing seva even for 1 week, he doesn't get what he wants. So in the night, while sleeping, he asks Sri Raghavendra Swami, why are you not giving me what I want? He says, look, that person who had come was a drunkard. Every day he would do this, who would perform this seva drunk. That was very difficult for me. I could not stand the smell. And irritating to see a Yogya, a useless fellow, doing this. So I said, okay, give him whatever he wants, let him go wherever he wants. But you are sitting there and doing Parayana of Parimala Grantha, one of the greatest granthas of Shri Raghavendra Swamiji. So I was really enjoying when you were reading that. And I said, okay, let him there be there for some more time. But now, whatever you want, I will give you. So, whenever we go to Guru Sthanas, you see, we are all human beings. We may have some challenges and we want that to be solved. No harm. But let us ask the most important fruit from them, which is Jnana. Because that is something that they have kept it very close to their heart. Krishna clearly says that only the person who is truly deserving, one in a million, one in a crore, is a person who actually will get that jnana. And I will give it to only a very select few people. Right? Everybody gets admission to LKG, but very few people get admission to PhDs. Why? Because only the progressively the passion to learn probably dies in all of us. That is fine. That is our laukika, that's vocational, that's materialistic. But adhyatma jnana is something that you can get only because of your deep understanding of this. So that is something that we cannot get by ourselves. God has to bless. He has to take a pen and sign on the paper saying he is deserving, and then he gets it. And then, of course, all the gods, all the other gods who are there, they all will oblige us because it has come from the big man. If the CEO of the company signs on the register, it's done. The papers just go through. So therefore, I am not saying that we should ask only for jnana because that's a tough order. So let us, if we can do it, great. But do this experiment and you will be surprised. When if you ask for jnana from God, if you ask for jnana from our gurus, they will immediately oblige because that is what they are meant for. A guru is meant to give jnana. Guru is not meant to give anything else. Everything else is incidental. They will give it anyways. Therefore, this is what it is. So there are several other places where Dhruva or Prahalada, they were all dissuaded from learning, dissuaded from Divya Jnana, but they didn't, they didn't move from their places. They were determined. Arjuna was determined to get the answer. Duryodhana was not determined. Arjuna was determined, so he got the answer. Duryodhana also asked Dronacharya that, look, I'm feeling very aparyaptam tadasmakam. Our army seems very inadequate. How will we win? Dronacharya is trying to answer him. He already loses his patience and goes somewhere else. He never waits for the answer because he has no faith in anyone. Whereas Arjuna waits patiently for that answer, and that becomes the great Bhagavad Gita himself. He becomes a Gnani, he fights the war, and he wins. And the whole world gets to know this profound text of Bhagavad Gita. There is no doubt that all the credit goes to Lord Sri Krishna for telling that. But there is a very important role Arjuna also has played, because if he had not asked those questions, not persisted with those questions, right, he would have lost the answer. Nachiketa refuses to do that. He's saying, I'm not going to be sidetracked. You can say whatever you want, I'm not going to be tried. And Yama tries to dissuade him. He says, look, I'll give you anything you want, but please do not ask this question because it's a very secret thing. Ask me for anything. You can ask me for progeny, Shatayushaha. That means your children who will live, children, grandchildren, great grandchildren who will all live 100 years. You want that? I can give you. Cattle, elephant. So don't look at it as cattle. It is a sign of wealth in those days. Abundant wealth. Anything you want, I will give you. Why? He's Lord Yama, no? He can give anything you want. Ask anything, I will give you. But Nachiketa stirs firm. He says, na vittena tarpaniyo. He says, no way. It is why here is a line that we all have to underline in our lives. It is not possible to satisfy people with money. Na vittena tarpaniyo manushyo. These human beings, the people around us, will never be satisfied with money. Somebody has 10 crores, he's thinking about why can't I have 15 crores. Somebody who has 15 crores is thinking about why can't I have 100 crores. The richest man in the world is probably thinking about how can he get richer, or he's worried about when he's going to lose that position. So money is not something that can satisfy. It is like a bottomless pit. You can keep on feeding it, And I don't know where that goes, but that money cannot satisfy. This is what Nachiketa says. And he says, look, what am I asking you? I am asking you to tell me which does God control us after salvation? This is the question I'm asking you. If I wanted these things which you are promising to give me, I would have asked that from you because you are capable of giving me that. I know I would have asked you very directly. So please don't, you know, try to distract me. Then he says, how are these people? People who are into materialistic wealth, how do they spend all their old age? They are just thinking about things, reminiscing about how much money they made, how much materialistic thing that they achieved, and they're also worried, has someone made more money? This is their life. They're just waiting to die because they have nothing else to chase. At some stage we'll all reach that stage when the materialistic things around us just do not mean anything. Yes, it is important. Money is important. Wealth is important. Nobody is suggesting these are not important. But in the face of the spiritual wealth, they all fade away. So, whatever is God has given us is fine. But beyond a certain point, one should not waste his entire life on something that is not going to come with him. Right? So, when we move from one place to the other, we leave behind so many things. We can't take it with us. But therefore, when we move from this world to the other, many things, 99% of the things that we think are very, very important will come with us. The only two things which come with us are the gnana, which is encapsulated in the soul. It is imprinted. It's a saved file in a pen drive. And the other one is all the papa and the punya that we have accumulated, our karma. Only that will remain us. If we don't do this and always focused on materialistic thing, then we will spread all our life in all our old age, just reminiscing and brooding over this. Oh, I should have done something else. Oh, I should have done something else. Today we are young, so we can change. We can say, okay, from now on I will not do it. But for someone who is already aged, he knows his end is going to come. So what's the point in brooding? So he has wasted his life. But at whatever stage we get that realization, we should build on that realization. And all of us have realized it, I'm sure. The quality of questions that I get from this audience is fantastic. I'm very sure all of you are already on your spiritual path. So, for the information of the people here, every weekend is spent talking to so many people who call us for different purposes. And it's been a pleasure knowing all of you. And I can tell you that everybody, and this is one of the most well attended programs that we have conducted so far, in fact, highest, I would say. Everywhere that we do, you have these questions coming to us, so you are all spiritually elevated. That's why you're sitting in the session. Otherwise you would have probably gone away doing something else or watched the next episode of some web series. The very fact that you are here today on a Saturday evening with this, to know what is Nachiketa asking and what Yama is giving, is a big, is itself shows that you are on the journey. So congratulations to all of you, and keep it, because we have a very long way to go. We have to touch infinity. Durat duratarangettu tavedantikam antikamaatikat, which is Dvadasha Stotra. It is, we have got a long way to go. So Nachiketa says, no, thank you. I know whatever you have told me is great, but I want to know the answer to the question which I have asked. And because he repeated that question, everybody else, all of us, got to know the answer from Yama himself. Now, Yama starts giving the answer, and very important for us. The first line itself is brilliant. He says that the people that we have are two types of people. This probably explains a lot of things for us. There are one set of people who are after shreyas. That means people who are seeking eternal happiness. And the other is called prayers, who are seeking short-term gains or short-term happiness or immediate happiness. There are two types of people. And how do we classify them? Why does this happen? Why is somebody like this and why is somebody like this? It is because of the basic nature and the karma that we do. So one should not ask this question like, when you put light on a green object, why does it look green? Why does it look green? because the light is reflecting from green. That is why it's looking green. The light is not different. Light is still white. The sun shines on everything equally, but the red object is seen as red. A blue object is seen as blue. Why? Because it's in the nature. So Swarupa, Jiva Swarupa is dictating this. So it is very hardwired, it is internal to us. It is not going to change. See, many people ask all these things, right? Advaita, Advaita, Visishta Advaita, Bauddha, etc. All these things, when did they start? They are there from eternal world. They did not start because of one guru or another guru. Madhvacharya did not found the, he represented Dvaita Vedanta to this world now, as we know, in the 12th century. But he did not create it. It has been there for eternal. That is his major message. Sarva Mula means what? All this that I am talking, Sarva, is in the Mula Granthas. It is already there. It is ingrained in us. Advaita is ingrained in certain people. Vaishnava is ingrained in certain people. Visishtadvaita is ingrained in some people. Shunyavada, Bauddha Mata, Jainism, all this is ingrained in people. We have given this current name in the current context. It always existed. Number system, for example, was not created by anyone. Yes, we called it one. We called something as two. We called something as three. Before that, was there no number? Right? How many trees are there? Everybody saw and said, okay, there must be 40. We called it four. But it existed. Since when? Since eternity. Kala, time, space, all of them have been there since eternity. Therefore, this is basic nature in people. We say, in Kannada, there is a saying, it's a slightly harsh one. It says, Huttida guna sutru hogala. That means even if you burn the person, his true qualities will never go. You know why? That so that guna, the basic guna that person has, is a part of his DNA. We say it's DNA. So when you do a DNA test in a forensic investigation, even after the person is buried, even after the person is burnt, you can see that it doesn't go away. That is intrinsic to that person. This is what Yama says. And then he appreciates Nachiketa and he says, look, I tried to dissuade you so many times, but you did not get distracted. You persisted with your question. I am so happy to do this. Again, lot of similarities between this and the story of Dhruva, where all the devatas tried to persuade him. Narada says, you should not even do this. You're such a young boy. What do you mean you got angry? Young people are not supposed to get angry. It's a very small thing. There must be something. Your mother must have said something. It's not a big thing. She's after all your mother and after all your father. Just go back. He says no. He says no. It's not a question of my life. If such a anyaya or adharma can happen in front of my father, who's the king, where is the guarantee that he will do dharma to the others? This is Draupadi's question. This is Krishna's message, saying whatever you are doing, you are looking at it as a personal war. It's not a personal war. So therefore, Yama is delighted to look at Nachiketa's determination, and he says it again and again, that you are doing this. Again, he goes on to say, look, our intentions drive our results. So whatever we are doing, if we go with the right intention, now Yama is giving the answers to that question that he has asked. And through these answers and questions, that counter question that Nachiketa says, we will learn the other aspects that we will cover as we go along. So everybody is doing this. So what do we do? One beautiful explanation I think all of us have found, and all of us do it, is andhena niyamaha yathandaha. This is a very often repeated sentence. So if you want to win a quiz in Indian spirituality, this is a very common common line. So somebody may ask you which Upanishad is it a part of? You have the answer. It's a part of the Kathopanishad. So it says, it's beautiful. He says, just because somebody else is doing something, people who are stupid people, who are wrong people, who are agnanis, they also follow that. Right? They just follow things blindly. You should not be doing that. Because that's why I put it in a modern language, which is everyone is doing this. We keep saying, why are you not studying? No, nobody is studying. Why are you not doing Sandhya Vandana? Nobody is doing. Why are you not reciting shloka? See, nobody is doing. You tell anybody, they'll say nobody is doing. Because they are not doing doesn't mean that they are right. Even the whole world is not doing that. Because it is said in our scriptures, because it's the right thing to do. You have to do that because it is the right thing to do. You don't need any other reason for this. But we always say, so you have not fallen prey to that. And then he goes on to say, who are the Agnanis? What are their traits? In this, why am I sharing all this with you is that it helps you evaluate yourself. That am I also thinking wrongly on certain things? So, for example, he says the immature people, Bala Buddhi, that means someone who is, immature, who doesn't have the maturity. He says that for them, spirituality never comes to their mind. God, soul, existence, papa, punya, none of that naraka, they don't ever get the sense of right or wrong. There are those people. Then they have the concept of the world. There's no concept of the world called paraloka. That means they don't know what, they don't believe in anything because they say we are not able to see it. What I talked about, Nastika Vada. And they say that in this world, there is everything. It is permanent, and everything in this world is permanent. So this world is not going to change. So why should I be doing anything? This is permanent. Beautiful world. No doubt, this world is very beautiful. There are many great things about this world. However, it is temporary. How many of you really believe that this world is permanent? Because we are seeing a change every month, every day. We are seeing it happen in front of us. Small changes keep happening. Some of these are very big changes. So when we are alive, itself things are changing in front of our eyes. You go to a city after 2 months. You say, "Oh my God, this has changed. This shop was not there. Hey, that house was there. Where is that house?" So these are small changes, but the world is evolving. World is not permanent. So therefore, there is a permanent world somewhere else, but this is not that permanent world. This world is real. It is not asatya. It is not asat, but it is temporary. It is changing. There's a difference between the two. This is what he says. People who are spiritually immature don't understand this. Then he goes on to say that what is the other things that these people do? They don't listen. Shravana, that means they do not take in inputs. They resist any inputs. So Agnanis, why are they Agnanis? Because they resist that input. They don't listen. They don't want to read. They don't listen. There is no adhyana. If you are not reading, if you are not learning, how will you improve in any field? Right? So here Yama says that if you are not studying the scriptures, you will not get that inputs. And they do not know it accurately. They're reading the wrong sources. And this is unfortunately happened very, very frequently. There are beautiful granthas being taught by great teachers. We want to leave all of that and say, look, I read this, I heard this on YouTube. Is that right? Validate it for yourself. This is spiritual knowledge. This is what you're betting your whole life about. You've taken a certain path, you can't change that path. So therefore, you have to be very careful about whom you choose as your guru, whom you choose as to follow, which is the grantha you should be reading. It's very important because this is the only thing which is going to be staying with you. Right? The studies that the student does is what is going to help him in his exam. So same thing, the gnana, the perspective that you get should be complete and accurate. They don't know it accurately, they don't know completely. And they're learning without the guidance of a guru, and that's very common. Unfortunately, we see a lot of people who are studying without the tutelage of a guru. Won't work. Sorry to say, but it just will not work because these things have to be understood in entirety. It's not about who can tell you the meaning of this mantra. That's not the point. That maybe somebody can tell you if they know Sanskrit. But these texts have got many inner meanings. So one should know other texts and have that paripakva jnana. That means people who can sit and who understood this in entirety. And we're all blessed to have so many people around us who can give us this guidance. So these people who are Bala Buddhi are not doing this. They are not going by the guidance of a guru. But the student who follows all these rules, that means he listens, he learning. So Shravana means it's all the forms of knowledge. Then he understands it accurately, he understands it completely under the the tutelage of a good guru, then that student is indeed very rare. But that person is someone who learns. He will get the yathartha gnana about God and about soul and about all the other aspects. So therefore, it's a very important thing as one goes. Now we've got another 5 minutes. I have a few more topics to cover, but I think in the interest of time and the questions that we have got, we'll take a pause here and study, go further. Now what will happen next? I think all of us are curious what happens. Yama probably gives the summary of the entire Vedas and Upanishads and Puranas in the sessions that are followed. We've already seen a little bit of the starting point, but now he gets into the details about the God, about the soul, and about what differentiates the God from the soul, how are two souls different, and so on and so forth. And then he comes to, okay, having known all of this, how should one pray to God? That is the crux of the second and the third session. So I'm very happy that all of you have shown a lot of interest. I think one person said we should have only one more session, but everybody else said two, and some people even said three. But I think in the interest of brevity, we will just keep it to two more sessions after this, and we'll go into the details of this. And I will, of course, add a lot of more stories that go along with the flow of this Upanishad. And there are lots and lots of brilliant interpretations of this, which we will get. Thanks again to Sri Raghavendra Swamiji and Shriman Madhvacharya's Granthas that we are able to do it. So we've got another 4 minutes. And if there's any other question that you have, please put it here. But I saw one question. I think Hari Krishna Kolhar has asked that, sir, as you explained, Vedas and Upanishads are Apaurusheya, but this universe is created by God. So why can't we assume that these Vedas and Upanishads are made by God? Yeah. So great question. So why don't we just say it was written by God? Two reasons. One, it is not claimed anywhere that God has written it. For example, you look at any text which is there, it has been recognized as granthas written by different people, including Srimad Vedavyasa, or it could be Hayagriva who had the original Mula Ramayana that he had, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, all the Puranas are written by Sri Vedavyasa. So nowhere is it claimed that the Vedas were written by somebody. And I will give you another way Sri Vadaraja Tirtha has explained it. So first is that, no, but there is no claim. Second thing is, the Vedas actually propound the God himself. Right? So if you are using the Vedas as a proof about the existence of God or to explain the nature of God, if it is written by God himself, then it is not a proof because he is writing about himself. Now, you may say the same thing about Puranas, but the Puranas get the source from the Vedas. So all the Puranas that we just talked about, they all are based on the Vedic text. That's why many of them are called Panchama Veda. We all know there are only 4 Vedas. But now, why did this Panchama Veda come? Because they are in consonance with the Vedas. That's why they are also Vedic texts. They are considered equivalent to that. So if, let us take Mahabharata. Mahabharata says Krishna is Sarvottama. He is the supreme. Now, who's written it? Vedavyasa. He is again a form. So how do you come to conclusion? Yes, it may be God, but still it's a conflict of interest, if I may say. He is writing about his own thing. So if you look at our entire Shastras, you look at the Granthas of Madhvacharya, you look at the Granthas of Jaitirtha, they never quote one Sarvamoola Grantha as a proof for another Sarvamoola Grantha. Nowhere you will find it. They always quote the Puranas and the Vedas in that order. Sorry, Vedas and Puranas. I should correct it because it has got a significance. Now I told you Vadaraja Tirtha has got a brilliant answer to this. He says, look, there was in a room, there were 6 people. Only 6 people are there in that room. They opened the door and they went inside. And they said, they found a book there. They said, look, out of these 6 people, 3 people said, there's not even a book. And the other 3 people, it's useless. I don't know what this, some useless papers are like. That's not a book. The other 3 people said, no, this is a very nice book, great book, but it's not mine. So 6 people, 3 people said it doesn't belong to us, and other 3 people said this is great book, but we have not written it. means what? That book existed in that book even before all these people came. That's what it means. So Vedas are like that. Who are these six people? They are the six darshanas. So Advaita, Visishtadvaita, and Advaita, all three of them say, great book, but we have not written. All three of them except Veda Apurushayatva. They may be differing on many other things, but this is a point of absolute confluence. Now, who are the other three people? They are Jaina, Bauddha, and Tatvika people who do not believe that there is something called Veda. They don't accept Veda as a proof. They, in fact, call it Pippalika Rekha. That means in the sand, there was an ant which was moving. If you have seen in this rice flour, akki hittu, you got this ant which is flowing, right? So it flows all along and it draws a line of its own, some vague shape it draws. They say Vedas are like that. Something has been written, and you people are giving it a very high status and forcing everybody to accept it. We don't accept it. So the Jaina, Buddha, and all of them, they might quote it once in a while, but they do not treat that as a final proof. That is why all these panthas, all the other, are called Vaidika Pantha. That means they considered Shruti as the Shruti or Vedas and the Upanishad as the final proof. Right? So Upanishad is also Apaurusheya. That means it existed as a universal truth. That is why we cannot say that God has created. There is no proof that so and so wrote it. Nowhere does it appear that somebody wrote it. That is why we cannot accept. Veda Upanishad, there is a detailed discussion in the Grantha, two Granthas especially. It appears everywhere. It is Vishnu Tattva Vinirnaya and lovely Tika by Srimad Jaitirtharu. These Granthas are there. And then, of course, it is a part of Srimad Nyayasudha, which is the encyclopedic work that we see. So this is the question. Any other questions that are there? No, I don't see any other. Any questions that anybody would like to ask? So please type in. I will come back if there are. No, so I'm not covering this. Okay. So coming back, we'll take a minute quickly. At Ataha, we are doing a lot of work. You must be watching some of it. If you have not yet, I will make it full screen so that you can take a scan if you would like to. If you want, we have created WhatsApp groups. So if you want to be part of any group to give information, we only use this to give information about our sessions and nothing else. So if you want to be part of that, please do join that. We've got a very active Instagram channel, which is again growing by the minute. We post almost every day. Sometimes we do it once in 2 days, but sometimes we do 2 of them in a day, depending on the activity. We recently posted a lot on Srimad Jaitirtha Aradhana. You can read it. There were a lot of interesting content. Then we have a YouTube channel, I think, where you will be watching this after this. So anyone who has missed the session, they can go and watch it on YouTube. Then there is an email, of course, we have, which you can write to us if you have any questions. Now, I had promised that I will give you a compilation of all the stotras from morning to evening. Unfortunately, we've not been able to do that, but it's a promise. Tomorrow, all the people who have written to us on that email ID, they will get it by end of day tomorrow. We have it, we are compiling it and we are sending it to you. Then we have, so here is the Ataha Thoughtcast series. We've been inviting people coming from different walks of life. So the idea of Ataha is to give us a perspective coming from people coming from different backgrounds. All their take are very interesting. One is a dentist, another person is that you see on the screen is an IITian. There is a dentist, there are 2 dentists in fact in this picture, and one of them is in Hindi. Dr. Paramjit, we did that whole session in Hindi, so if you are interested in learning that, you can go there. Also, we had somebody who was a singer. He presented the Devarnamas. There's a software engineer, Jagannath, and there is Rutuparna, who is again a creative leadership coach. And then we had Dr. Sulata Shenoy. She's a very renowned and one of India's foremost psychologist counselor. We drew a lot of lessons from spirituality into psychology and mental health, and vice versa. It was a two-way traffic. where we learnt a lot from this conversation from both sides. So with this, I'll close today's session. We are learning the Madhva Shastra in English next session as well, which is on Nachiketa's profound question, part 2. We will have it next Saturday. So please remember, we always have it once in a fortnight, but now we are going to have it next Saturday so that we are keeping that continuity. So this is what it is. Let me go to the questions that I. There's one more question. Where does Yama fit in the hierarchy? Okay, when he says the gods and other deva don't know the answer themselves, is he ranked higher than other devatas because he knows the answer? Yes. So Yama is also in the hierarchy. He's in one of the kakshas. We'll send you the detailed chart about this if you are interested. So he's below. He's not at the same level as the other people. He's so first it is Lord Narayana, then Lakshmi, Vayu, Brahma, and Vayu. Then we have Saraswati and Bharati and Garuda, Shesha, Rudra, and so on. After that, after a few notches, few levels, he is much below. So when he says the gods and other devatas don't know the answer themselves, what he means is they have not understood this question in entirety because it's a very profound question. So therefore, and he's also using it in some sense to deter, uh, deter Nachiketa. The other thing is, what he is referring to is not one particular devata. He is looking at the devata kaksha, the whole category of devatas. Right? So everybody in the hierarchy of devatas does not have an equal understanding of this profound question. That's what he means. But since he has answered this question, as we know, he knows the answer to this question. He himself says it, that I know the answer to this question. Again, the whole Devata Taratamya hierarchy is based on their knowledge about the Brahman. Okay, so that is what they are known for. So the same answer, the same question, if it is asked to Lord Brahma, his answer will be even more profound. But what suffices us to know that since this is a part of the Upanishad, the answers that are given here are extremely and completely accurate. So that is the answer. Arjun, I hope I have answered your question. Yama is low in the hierarchy compared to the others, but when he says devatas don't know the answers themselves, they don't know it in entirety. But to his level, he has been able to answer this question satisfactorily. Now that is a part of Upanishad, so it is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So thank you all of you for being here, and look forward to seeing you on the 2nd of August. So keep our engagement on all the other channels, and thank you so much. Thanks, Arjun. I'm glad that you got your answer. Thank you. Namaskar.